Jason, would you open us up in a quick word of prayer?
Heavenly Father, we just thank you for today. We thank you for your Son, Jesus, just taking away our sin, Father. We talk to you, Father. And just pray for tonight. Pray for the teacher, Father. Just lay your hand on, Father. Just teach us through him, Father. Just pray we have our hearts open and ears open, Father, and just take this message to heart and, Father, just live it. Father, just want to see people saved. Pray for the lost to be saved and give you thanks for all things in the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Sorry. Hopefully that was out of the view.
That turned you off. That turned you off.
Oh, thank you. All right. Guys, today, Exodus. The book of Exodus. Hopefully we'll be able to really focus in on chapter 5 in particular. Would love to push on, just go through the whole entire book. That's not reality. So a few things in review, guys. The question is asked, who am I that I should go before Satan, the ruler of this world, the beast of a man? Who am I that I should go before? That I should take hold of the children of the church of God and lead them out of bondage? Who am I? Who am I? Ready?
Called of God.
The call. Thank you. Anybody that have been here for the last 2 weeks should know that. That's been the main point. No, man, call. Who are you? You're nobody. Just like Moses was, well, and I mean, if you want to look at as far as that goes, you're a sinner. Right? And all you've ever done is messed everything up. Right? So who are you? Who are you? Well, if you believe upon his name and confess him as Lord and Savior, then who you are is you were called to start off with. Yeah? You were sent. Second of all, because, by the way, right before this, he said, go do this. Yeah? So often, like Moses, unfortunately, where it'd be so much more profitable if we just did it. We said, okay, God, it's your way, all right. Just did that. It'd be so much more profitable, but it doesn't always tend to take place that way. And it is amazing to me the relationship that God and the heart that God has even with Moses, and for the questioning and the argument that Moses tries to present and tries to give. The beautiful thing is that, again, when you're God called, it is. It's that way. And for Moses, he is definitely God called. And if you remember, again, the scenario here is that you're walking along the desert. All of a sudden you look over there and there's a bush on fire. With me? Everybody with me? Have you ever seen a bush on fire before? No? I have. You know what happens to the bush on fire? It burns up. This bush ain't burning up. What would you think? Huh? It's spreading. You know, what would you do then when you walked up? Because you're curious, so you kind of walk a little bit closer, and all of a sudden the bush starts talking to you. Then what would you do? What would you do? Run, Braxton?
I'd be confused.
You'd be confused? Yeah? Would you stop there and try to think about it, or would you try to get away first and then think about it then?
I'd start walking away.
You start walking away, and would it be more like, this way? Whoa, you know, guys, and here's Moses, and Moses doesn't do either one of those things, but he talks back to the bush. And when he says this, who are you, Lord? And then the Lord says, man, it's I. Take off your shoes. You're on holy ground. And it's evident, because immediately the conversation continues on, that Moses did it, which is recognition that he's talking to God, right? That God's talking to him, right? And meanwhile, it's funny because he comes right back and he starts questioning these different things. God, and it says, and something that you really don't ever want, and it happens a couple times with Moses, and Moses experienced a lot of grace and mercy from God in these things. But it says that God's anger was kindled because it kept on arguing. It's not something that you. If there's a person that you don't want to kindle their anger, I think God would be that person, yeah? And God comes back, and he makes a statement that we've seen over and over and over so far with all of those, and it's really to all of those of faith. What he says is in verse 12 of chapter 3, he says, I will certainly be with you. I will certainly be with you. How much do we need to know that he's with us? Go back to the story before this. It's Joseph, yes? How many of you guys were here for the Joseph? What happens to Joseph? Do you remember? Okay, so let's not all the to a pit by your thrown into the bottom of it, which couldn't have felt very good. Do you ever want to throw any of your brothers or sisters into a pit? Okay. Kids come in. Liar. Have you ever wanted to sell off any of them into slavery? If nothing else, I can make profit off of this, because they were just going to let him die. And he was like, what's the point of letting them die? At least let's make profit off of this, so we're selling to slavery. He gets sold into slavery, he ends up scrubbing, working, he works hard, diligently, it says. And it says that the master, who was Potiphar, recognized his work. Awesome he was doing in everything that he touched. And he was doing so good at it that Potiphar gave him more responsibilities. And the more he gave him, more Potiphar ended up gaining and receiving. Yeah? He ends up thrown into prison. Right? There's all these, you can look at it and see all these horrible things that's happened for Joseph. Yes? What did Joseph always testify of? Who was always with, how did Joseph always live? Who was with Joseph? That God was with him. Yeah? And because of that, every time he turns around and there's one moment when something looks horrible, that in time, and sometimes that time wasn't right then. If you remember, he was in prison for at least, 2 years? A lot more than that, we don't know exactly. He lived the whole entire time. God is with him. Does he end up having victories? Yeah, he even delivers one man from prison, bringing God's words of what God said. Yeah? Now to another man, those same words that were from God meant his death. And to another man, life. Joseph doesn't blush over either one, because they were God's. Yeah? You guys, a lot of times throughout our life, things may not look grand, but what are you looking at? You're looking at God, and that he's with you, even when times are hard and rough, then what can you know in your heart? And if he's with you, and it says, if he's with you, then he's for you. So if God is for you, right? Who can be against you? Now, on the one hand, to answer that question, you could look at it, how it was all against Joseph. Everybody, even his own family. Yeah? This is the family of promise. by the way, that the seed that was going to take away all their sins would come through. So it totally looks wrong, wouldn't you say? But didn't God make it all just right? And the reason why, guys, is because the one thing that he always walked is God is with you. God is with you. God is with you. Yeah? Sometimes when we're going through a hard moment, what you need to remember is who's with you. Yeah? Then there's another statement. I want to hit this one hard at different points in tonight's class. But the next statement that's made by God here in verse 12 says is, and this shall be a sign to you. This shall be a sign to you that I'm with you and that I sent you. When you've done it. Because before this, he tells them, you go in and you bring my people out. Yeah? So he says, this will be the sign to you that I am with you and that I sent you when you brought the people out. That's how you know. I was with you the whole entire time. Sound weird? Yeah? Jesus walks up to a blind man and he spits in some mud. And he puts the mud on the blind man's eyes. Did the mud heal the guy? No? Did Jesus' spit heal the guy? What does Jesus tell the man to do? You go find this one fountain, and you wash off with the water from this one fountain. And when you've done so, you'll receive your sight. What did the old boy do? He went and found that one fountain, and he washed off his eyes, and guess what he found to be true? He found that his sight was given, just like Jesus said it would be. What if he wouldn't have done? What if he wouldn't have washed off his eyes? Yeah. You know, but guys, you know, and some of you youngsters and teenagers here, because in front of you right now telling you what God has said, and that's kind of a sign to you because it's kind of weird to be in the South Phoenix and you got some crazy black boys standing in front of you telling you what God has done. Because there's a lot of white guys in South Phoenix, and they ain't gonna tell you what God's done. You know, you want a sign, you know, by every weird and extreme craziness of your life, you ended up right here, right now. Some through wonderful things taking place, and some through not so wonderful things taking place. God worked the good and the bad together to where you're here right now. You know, we always say we want a sign, and you don't even realize how many signs you really have already had. Because you don't see them. Because really, what you're looking at is the things of this world, and what you're not looking at is who's with you. So the challenge in that, and for our youth in that, and for all of us, you know, is to really see it the way that God has already said that it is, because it is that way. And he says right here, and you'll know it when it happens. Because you'll do it. And it'll be that way. And then you'll know all along that it was exactly how I said it was going to be. Jump to chapter 4, verse 12. He says, so therefore you go, and you tell them, and you don't have to worry, because I will be with your mouth. I'll put my words in your mouth. I will be with your mouth, and I'll show you what to say. You don't have to worry about it. You know, first time I went out was with Montana Miller. First house I visited was about 10 houses down this street right here on the end, right down here. I was so scared of what to say. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Am I moving around too much, Paul? I didn't know what to say. I was so scared. And Montana patted me on the back and said, Roger, don't worry. God will give you what to say. He's like, besides that, I like talking a lot anyway, so don't worry. Went up there and knocked on the door, and sure enough, he did. He started talking, and it was so awesome, so beautiful. I was crying. The person standing there is looking at me like, why are you crying? And I'm like, oh my God, man, it's so awesome, it's so good, it's so true. And I'm sitting there crying. And next thing I knew, they asked me, hey, are you okay? And I said, yes, I'm okay. And then all of a sudden, there was these words coming out of my mouth, and I had no idea. But all of a sudden, and it was the gospel. It's not that I hadn't heard those words. Yeah? And because, you know what? I had heard those words. Heard those words through Sunday schools. I've heard those words through Monday night. Heard those words through services. And being a part of those words and hearing those words day in and day out, I find all of a sudden right there those words were with me. But what if I had not been there to hear those words? Because what he says is that I'll be with your mouth and I'll give you the words to say and I'll teach you. Yeah? By the way, as you continue on, you will literally see God telling you exactly how and what to say in the circumstances, the situations that will be presented. Yeah? How important is teaching? Being taught. See, some people don't value it. Yeah? But how important is it when God himself says that he's going to do it? If it's good enough for God, but again, I'll be with you. I'll be with you. Now, Moses asked another question. What shall I say when they ask me who sent me? First question was, who am I? God answers that. Yeah? Well, who am I going to tell sent me? Nobody remember what the answer is? I am who I am. Tell them I am who I am sent you. For I am the I am, and I will always be known as the I am. Because I am, and I'll always be. You know what the word God means? I am. Yes? Did you guys know that?
No.
The I am. He is the I am. So what is he? What? Huh? Everything. What is his then? Everything? Yes? Yeah? So if he is everything, and he has everything, and he says he's with you, what you got? Everything you need. Yeah? Not necessarily everything you want, but you got everything you need. And because, by the way, God knows what you really need. Not us. We think we do. Lusts, passions, desires that oftentimes lead us astray, not lead us to. But God knows. He knows exactly what we need. Yeah? You know, for Joseph may never have been who he ended up being. His brothers wouldn't throw him in that pit. And actually, you get to see it even more so that that is true when his brothers come down and they actually question, because after the father had died, and then it says that they were fearful for their life because then there was nobody to control Joseph anymore. They didn't have the protection of dad anymore, so they were scared that he would come down with his wrath. And you know what Joseph's response is to his brothers? I'm not God. Who am I to judge? Because they were worried about all these things that they had done to him. He's like, to try to get you back? Who am I to judge that? I'm not God. And then can't you see that God worked all of those things for all of our good? Can't you see? He was with us. He was with them the whole entire time. Yeah? Not everything in that sense is the way we'd like to see it in our own lives. But God's seen it as a wonderful work all the way through. And through their weaknesses, he showed his strength. So, who called us? Who sent us? Who's with us? Yeah? Pretty cool. It's a pretty good thing to have. Chapter 5. You come down, God has given Moses the instruction, yes, to go in. To go tell Pharaoh, this is the way that it is. We have Moses who goes before his father-in-law, okay, and lets him know, his name is Jethro, and he lets old Jethro know what's going on. And Jethro's statement to him says, man, he says, you go in peace. So Moses loads up, and he takes also his children with him, and his wife, and they head off. In this, God does come to him and lets him know, sitting here, he says, Israel, my son, and thus says the Lord, my firstborn. So I say, or he said, Israel is my son, excuse me. He is my firstborn. So I say to you, let my son go, that he may serve me. He's telling him that you go to Pharaoh and you say this. Israel is my son, my firstborn. He is my firstborn. So I say to you, let my son go, that he may serve me. But if you refuse to let him go, indeed I will kill your first son, your firstborn. And then the next verse, it says, then it came to pass on the way, at the encampment, that the Lord met Moses and sought to kill him. And the statement in this is met. I'm sorry, I lost it. Basically, it meant to seize, grab a hold of Moses, and that God looked to kill him. And the reason why is because he had not kept that of the promise of circumcision, the representation of the cutting away of one's flesh and to serve unto God, no longer living for oneself, but to live for God. So you have the wife who actually takes a sharp stone. She cuts off the foreskin of her son and throws it at Moses. And hatefully says, now you are a father of blood. Okay? Kind of a strange thing to be thrown in there. The only thing I can tell you is that God, with his promises, he don't mess around. And don't take it for granted. And it's just that simple. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's no exemptions. There's no nothing. When God says it, it's that way. Yeah? You do it his way, it's good. You know, and for Moses, immediately, by the way, everything's great. And the Lord came to Aaron immediately, and Aaron goes out there and he finds Moses and gives him a big old kiss on the cheek. Yeah? Moses tells Aaron all the words of the Lord and the signs that he had commanded. And so then Moses and Aaron went and they gathered up the elders of the children of Israel, spoke the words unto them, and they believed. And they believed. So then Moses and Aaron head into Pharaoh. So chapter 5, verse 1. Afterward, Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, thus says the Lord God of Israel, let my people go. Let my people go. Every single time I read it, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness. Let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness. And Pharaoh says, who is this Lord, that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I do not know this Lord, nor will I let Israel go. Now, we talked about this last week, the representations for us even today in this. Israel is the church. You. Me. Yes? Pharaoh and the bondage thereof, Satan, bringing the bondage of this flesh, the me, I, and I, the economy, all the false prophet, all these different things that keep us all tied up into the things here of this world. Yes? And that bondage and the pain that comes from it, and the nastiness, the sin. And we all, because we still have what with us? What is draped all over us? Flesh. Yeah? Which means what is still yet ever present with us? Sin. And so, you know what? We do sin. Yes? And so, you know, that nastiness, and so it's all over us all the time, and it's all around us. Yes? And so even when Moses asked the question about going in, you know, like, you know, who are we to go in and grab a hold of a soul and lead them out of destruction? Right? That's really what Moses is asking. And who am I to face the present power of this world, the strongest of all of this world, to go in and take hold to lead out? And God said, well, because I called you to. And by the way, I am. And he says, man, you know, I can't speak. And he's like, wait a minute, am I the one who makes a mute? And one who can talk? Am I the one who gives sight or makes one blind? Then I'm the God. Believe me. Yeah? So he goes in here, though, and Pharaoh here. Really, it's the same conversation that you're going to have anytime you're talking to a lost soul. It really is. Man, this is what the Lord says. He says, man, to let go. Get out. Come. Eat with the King of Kings and the Prince of the Prince. Dine with him. Have a celebration. And by the way, 3 days journey. And go on a 3-day journey with me. To save your life. You know what happened in 3 days? Salvation. Yeah? And old Pharaoh, and you put in there Satan, you put in this world, you put in the beast, you put in any of those and all of those. Who is this Lord? That I should obey his voice. I have my life, and I have my things, and I have my way. And I'm God. And if you remember, Pharaoh is to them, and by his own statement, he is God. Yes? And isn't that what every single person kind of believes about their own little life? Is that they're the God of their own little life. And who am I to let go? To hear his voice. To obey him. And I don't know this, Lord. And I ain't letting go. Yes? Isn't that what you said? Sometimes isn't that what you keep on saying? Which you need to, by the way, stop, because if what happens with Pharaoh is what I want happen for you. So they said, the God of the Hebrews has met with us. Please let us go 3 days' journey into the desert and sacrifice to our Lord our God, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword. Lest he brings plague upon us or the sword upon us. If I was them, I'd be looking for the sword, not the plague. Embarrassing. Yeah. Then the king of Egypt said to them, Moses and Aaron, why do you take the people from their works? Why do you try to take them away from their works? Get back to your labor. You go get back to your own labors. And Pharaoh said, look, the people of the land are many now, and you make them rest from their labor. They're supposed to be serving me as God. You're not supposed to have any rest. You're not supposed to have any peace. No comfort. So the same day Pharaoh commanded the taskmasters of the people and their officers, saying, you shall no longer give the people straw to make bricks as before. Let them go and gather the straw for themselves, and you shall lay on them the same quota of bricks which they have made before, and you shall not reduce it. For they are idle, therefore they cry out, saying, let us go and sacrifice to our God. So therefore let more be laid on them, on every man, that they may labor in it, and let them not regard those false words. Always amazing to me. Satan, the flesh, religion, all of those enemies, how all they ever want to do is get you doing all of their work and never tending to God's work. Oh, and by the way, to see God's work, oh, those are not true words. My little children love one another. Oh, why would you listen to those words? Forgive, as you have been forgiven. All those false words. Jesus has taken away all of our sins and sin, all those false words. No, let's lay more. So then they'll get so caught up with the things that they have to get done in this world that then there's no thought of the words that they heard, the words of God. But let them be overwhelmed, and let's keep on piling it on. So what is Satan always doing? Piling it on, trying to busy up with the things of this world. Yeah? Seems to take away, and yet the quotas are still the quotas that we do have to meet. Right? But it seems like it just never stops. Right? And it seems like, here, I better just go on first. Let them tell you instead of me telling you. It says, so the taskmasters of the people and their officers went out, and he spoke to the people, saying, thus says Pharaoh, I will not give you straw. Get yourselves straw where you can find it. Yet none of your work will be reduced. So the people were scattered all across the land of Egypt, and gathering the stubble instead of straw. And the taskmasters forced them to hurry, saying, fulfill your work, your daily quota, as when there was straw for you. So also the officers of the children of Israel, whom Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over them, were beaten and were asked, why have you not fulfilled your tasks in making bricks both yesterday and today as before? So then the officers of the children of Israel came and they cried out to Pharaoh, saying, why are you dealing with us, your servants? There is no straw given to your servants. And they say to us, make brick. And indeed, your servants are beaten. And the fault is on your own people, because they won't give us the materials. But he says, you are idle, idle. Therefore you say, let us go and sacrifice to the Lord. You want to go do sacrifices. You want to be idle. Therefore go now and work. For no straw shall be given to you, yet you shall deliver the quota of bricks. And the officers of the children of Israel saw that they were in trouble after it was said, you shall not reduce any bricks from their daily quota. Then, as they came out from Pharaoh, guess who was sitting there on the steps? Moses and Aaron. They were standing, actually. Who stood there to meet them. And they said to them, let the Lord look on you and judge. People say this, these leaders, these officers. They said to Moses and Aaron, let the Lord look on you and judge, because you have made us abhorrent in the sight, which means smelling very disgustingly foul, in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants, to put a sword in their hand to kill us. You have done this to us. It's an amazing thing. You know, why are the people in the situation that they're in? Okay, really, they did put themselves in that position. You know, for us, all around us is sin. Yes? We ourselves are what? Sinners. So when things don't go right, when everything looks hard, who do you blame? Amazing thing that naturally, that's what we end up doing, when honestly, why are we in the situation that we're in? It's really just ourselves. Yeah? Because see, the cursedness is the cursedness of this world. Yes? Yeah? Now, what have the people been told is going to happen by Moses and Aaron? Remember, Moses and Aaron, first thing they did was meet with people. So, what did they tell people? Okay, never mind. I'll just do all the talking. You go ahead and sit there and fall asleep. What he told people is that God is going to give us victory and deliverance from this bondage. Yes? He's going to deliver you from the hand of Satan himself. Yes? Meanwhile, what takes place? Things get worse. Things look like and appear like that they're getting worse. Yes? They feel like they're getting worse. Yes? Are they? In the moment. In that moment, if you're going to weigh and measure by that moment, yeah, then you could say, oh man, worse, worse. They're wanting to even string up the messengers of God. You caused this to happen to us. God's going to get you. What were Moses and Aaron doing? Okay, really, they're doing exactly what God told them to do. Right? And God told them, by the way, hey, listen, it ain't going to go all smooth. Because Pharaoh ain't going to just let them go. And he already told Moses and Aaron, and Moses and Aaron already went and told all of them, hey, listen, God's already declared that this is the way it's going to be. You know, kind of like God's already declared, in this life, there's going to be much troubles. But do not worry about this life. For I've overcome this world. Believe it, don't believe it. God said it. Which one are you going to believe? Man, there's all these people that have done all these sinned against. Well, did he take it away or did he not? Like, either believe it the way he said it or don't. Yeah? But if you believe that he's with you and you believe that he's for you, then is it the way that he said it is? Yeah? Right? And it's amazing how we try not to, because things don't go the way that we want it to when we want it to. You know, how many of us, in the moment that we were saved, wanted to be saved all the way to heaven right there in that moment? How many people wanted to stay on this earth and continue to endure all the things in our life in this world? Just in case you looked around right now, which I know a bunch of you did not, nobody's got great. Which meant the first time when I asked the question, how many of us just wanted to get the heck right out of here and right to God? Everybody should have had their hands up. Because do we want to continue to have to deal with the things here? No. Including ourselves or anybody else in that sense? No? But guess what we're here to do? Lead other people out of bondage into the land of promise. Yeah? Eternal promise. Yes? That's what we're still here to do, right? Yeah? Just like Moses and Aaron? Yes? And some of us ain't all that great looking. That's all right. Some of us ain't that great talkers. That's all right. You know, every kind of excuse that Moses tried to give, you know, guess where Moses is at right now? Or where he was at right then, I should say, I guess in the story. He's right where God told him to go. Yeah? And you cannot go when you are the called of God and get swallowed by a whale and spend 3 days in the belly of a whale. And I talked about this last week, but how many of you guys know what happens in the belly of a whale? How many of you know how the digestive system of a whale actually works? They swallow, they don't chew. They swallow whole. The stomach acids, everything sits in those acids and slowly deteriorates. Yeah? So when Jonah got swallowed by the whale, I don't think it was a peaceful. Sorry for that. I couldn't imagine the stink and the fuck, guys. Honestly, it was the nastiness, the irritation to your own skin and flesh as the acids are all over you. While there's all that nastiness floating around, like I could not imagine. But you know what Jonah was really living. All he got was exactly what he was living. Yeah, it was just slowly deteriorating and just not going to live what God said and just going to be against what God said. You know, trying to justify to play games with it in every single which way. Yeah. God is a mighty God. So Moses is a real smart guy, right? Keeps on arguing with God. So Moses returns to the Lord and he says, Lord, why have you brought trouble on this people? Why is it that you sent me? I'm sorry, that's freaking hilarious. That second one was funnier than the first one, man. Lord, not only did you bring trouble on everybody, but then you sent me. Because who's going to have to hear from people? And what's funny in this too is that even in Moses, there's an idea here that Moses doesn't think, or for whatever reason, that God is feeling these same things. When God already said that he's heard them and that he's felt them. Just like a lot of times we don't, for whatever reason, seem to think that God is going to feel it. Even though he already said he does. When God says just love, I don't, seriously, you realize what you just, man. Me and Jason were talking about this, and man, just, God's feelings. Who gave us our feelings? How well does God feel? Everything that God is perfect, right? Have you ever felt pain?
Yes.
Yeah? Have you ever felt perfect pain? Do you know a fact? Humans cannot feel perfect pain. But the fact is that once pain gets to a certain point, that you can't actually feel it anymore. That's actually a fact. You know that there should be pain, you know that it's extreme, so you know that it's there, but you can't actually feel it perfectly. God can. Sadness, you ever been sad? You know what? You've never felt perfect sadness. Never felt hurt? Never felt perfectly hurt. When it said that Jesus went to the cross, bearing all of our sins, how much hurt do you think he felt? Oh, and by the way, a lot of people think, oh, well, God, and man, he escaped that. How do you think that he escaped that? The Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, all three are one. And by the way, the pain that you feel, somebody says something hurtful to you, you say something hurtful to them, you've done something hurtful, they do something hurtful, how much pain is felt? Which side does he feel the pain from? All sides. And then, like if you take a rock and you throw it in water, is it just that one spot that's disturbed? Or does that disturbing take place in other places? See, the pain, it just goes on, and God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, all three feel it. They felt it on that day. Yet it still pleased God to smite his only Son, that you might be made sons of God, perfect, joint heirs with him. And he felt it in ways that we cannot even imagine. We do not even understand how one little sin, the ripple that really is. But Jesus did. He felt every single one of them. You want to get all in a hissy fit about one little thing that you think you see and that you can judge. Who in the heck do you think you are? He's the only one who really knows. He's the only one who knows every single angle of it, by the way. And that's something else, man, he really does. And somehow in there, we always want to try to make it back to being about us. And about what we see and what we feel right there in that little moment. And what we don't see is that God's already promised. And you know what? Some of those promises, guess when you'll know that he was with you the whole entire time and those promises are true? When it's already that way. Yeah? When you've already done it, and then all of a sudden you get to be on the other side of it, and then you go, oh yeah! Yeah? How many things does that apply to? in the sermons, seeing Him. Come, and you'll see Him. Yes? How will they know when you're telling the truth? How do they know when you've told the truth to them, when you tell them to come, and they'll see it?
And they can run out.
And then they come. Because what's going to happen? Then they'll see Him, right? Yeah? Guys, it was amazing. Even Friday night, we had the movie night and stuff, and there was about 8 to 10 adult visitors, not including a bunch of the kids from our school and stuff that ended up, some of them that ended up coming down and being able to participate in that too, and get to watch the Fourth Wise Man. And some of those actually spoken to me, and I was amazed at what some of the young ones experienced in that and got from that. And that was very, very precious and made it very worthwhile for the investment of the time and everything that gets put into those. By the way, on Blaine and Cashmere. So on May 4th, we're going to do a Marvel. I don't know which one yet, but we're going to do a Marvel movie on May 4th. So from young through all of us can come together and enjoy it. And so after that, I'm not sure what we'll go to there in June. But in May, that's going to be, I was going to take May off, and Cashmere's like, heck no, man, we need a break. We got tests and all these different things, but we need a break in a moment to be able to come together and to kind of get away from all that stuff there. It is. And wanting to do it together, too, the body, Huh? Yeah, good job, Cash, exactly. Very, very sweet. Here, Moses even takes another step further, guys. And he says, you know what, Lord? Since I came to Pharaoh and spoke your name, he's only done nothing but evil to these people. And by the way, Lord, you have not delivered them.
You haven't done your job.
And instead, you sent me to get killed for you.
You're making me look bad.
You're making me look bad. You're making me your sacrificial lamb. Who are you, God, to use me in such a way that you would send me to a place where people aren't going to like me? They're not going to jump up and do it when I say it, how I want it to be done right here at this moment. You ain't doing your job, God, and you sent me to die for it. Who are you? I mean, guys, if you don't get other people have already had fire rain down on their heads for saying such things, by the way. God simply says, you know what, Moses? You'll see what I'll do. You'll see what I'll do. Guys, sometimes, we get caught up, whatever else, anything that always can happen. Anybody can get caught up in something. Anybody can start seeing something. Anybody can live everything the complete opposite of everything that the Lord is and everything He's about. Any of us can get caught up. The flesh is ever present with us. All of us have to deal with a lot of different stuff in this world. And there's times where everything, it looks like everything is wrong and nothing is fair, nothing's right, and this and that. And you know what? We run down those roads, guys, who we're missing the whole entire time. That's God. And we'll scream, and we'll do this, and we'll do that, and we'll buck, and this and that. Again, a caution that is, well, I brought up Jonah getting swallowed, guys. There's other ones that just fell off, and their valves busted asunder. And I can show you a few of those too. It's not something that you want to play with, is my point. Some of the youth, I told you guys, I really wanted you guys in here tonight because some of you guys have expressed to me at different times about the difficulties that you guys have come into in your lives and had to deal with. Don't think that you're the only one who's had to deal with difficulties. Don't think you're the only one who's had it tough at moments. And don't get me wrong, I understand your questioning on a lot of different things. I really do. And it's not necessarily incorrect for right now in your life and where you're at right now and where you're at in faith to question some of those things. What you need to stop and see is all the wonderful works that God's been doing in your life. Guys, Moses, by the way, at this point, just in case you don't know, he already murdered. He's been on the run. There's a warrant for his head. You know, I mean, like the man himself, you know, and for him to walk back into the same place from the words of God, don't get me wrong, he has believed God. Yes, while at the same time, there's a lot of question, right? One thing I want all of us as a whole, our whole body, really, and is for us to have a greater confidence in our Lord, know that He's with us. You know, no matter what the struggles are, and no matter what Satan tries to give or take or tries to busy us up with, you know what? We got a quota. All right, I don't need our quota for the day. And you know what? Sometimes that quota is like, wow, why does it just keep on getting added on worse and worse? And why do you take away the tools that I need to be able to reach that quota? You'll feel all those emotions. And I know some of you guys have felt that in school. You know, we feel it in work life. You know, we have, you know, everybody feels those emotions. Don't feel like it's bad or wrong or there's anything is right or wrong. It got nothing to do with it. What it does have, everything has to do with is you got to realize, man, God's with you. God's for you. And He's going to work it, and He's going to make it good. And even though in the moment it may not look like deliverance is there, deliverance is just around the corner. And the one thing that Moses does is when God tells him to get back up and go back in, Moses does it. And he does it, and he does it, and he does it. And guess what ends up happening? He ends up leading people out. Yeah? Yes? So you guys know, for all of us and us as a body, man, no, God's going to use us to see a lot of people saved. Lead a lot of people out of bondage. Sometimes it's going to look hard, it's going to look difficult, it's going to look like nothing like that's happening. It's going to look like the complete opposite of everything that God says. That's all right. We walk by faith. And that's why Moses is another hero of faith. And we're just not taking the iceberg with Moses, both in his struggles and the struggles of the people, and the power and the might of God and His workings even through their weaknesses. And God don't let up, which is a beautiful thing about God. He don't let up. Yeah? I was hoping I could plunge further, guys, but we only have like 3 minutes left to that 8:15. I don't want to hold you guys over tonight. So I love you all. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's class. We did make it through chapter 5 as far as the reading there, and giving a lot of the big points. So I love you all. Let me check real quick. Yep. All the notes that I had there. Well, guys, seeing the signs and then it happens. God gives the promise. And He said, you know, in that statement, He says, you'll know that it was this way when this happens. You know, that's true with almost every single thing that God says, by the way. You know, Jason can give his testimony on tithes and offerings. There's no way that she kept on working. But God's true. But until you did it and acted on faith. You know, it didn't look that way. You know, can water split in half where you can walk through by dry land just by taking a step? But God can. And He did for Moses and the people. Because, you know, there's all kinds of different things like that like we don't even have no idea. But when we just apply what God says, and it's amazing the victories that we end up getting to see if we just keep on walking. Just keep on walking. So I love you guys. Keep on walking. Yeah? Fight the good fight. Can't leave you. Every time Rudy tries to go for the door, it's about to come over. Keeps on like reaching the door, so I have to like keep on talking just to see him freeze in the moment. I love you guys, man. Have a wonderful night. Go forth praying.